Hello everyone, and welcome to History of the Ancient World. Today we're journeying back in time, not just to explore historical events, but to delve into the very stories that shaped the minds and cultures of ancient civilizations. We're talking about the epic myths and powerful legends that were as real to the people of antiquity as the world around them. From the soaring peaks of Mount Olympus to the fertile banks of the Nile, these tales of gods, heroes, and monsters weren't just bedtime stories. They were the science, religion, and entertainment of their day, all rolled into one. They explained the rising of the sun, the changing of the seasons, and the mysteries of life and death. So grab your sense of wonder, because we're about to uncover the fascinating history behind the myths that still echo in our world today. Let's begin our journey in ancient Greece, a land teeming with some of the most famous myths ever told. At the heart of it all were the Olympian gods, a divine family full of drama, power, and very human-like flaws. Led by Zeus, the mighty king of the gods who wielded thunderbolts from his throne on Mount Olympus, this pantheon was a complex web of relationships. There was Hera, his proud and often jealous wife, Poseidon, the moody ruler of the seas, and Hades, the somber king of the underworld. But it wasn't just about the major gods. The Greeks believed in a world filled with countless deities, nymphs, and spirits. The rustling of leaves could be a dryad. A beautiful spring could be the home of a naiad. These stories weren't abstract. They were woven into the very fabric of daily life. When a farmer planted his crops, he prayed to Demeter, the goddess of the harvest. When a sailor set out to sea, he made offerings to Poseidon. These myths provided a framework for understanding a world that often seemed chaotic and unpredictable. They gave meaning to natural phenomena and provided a moral compass, teaching virtues like courage and hospitality, and warning against hubris or excessive pride, which was often a hero's downfall. And what would Greek mythology be without its legendary heroes? These were the larger-than-life figures, often demigods with one divine parent, who undertook impossible quests and battled terrifying monsters. Think of Hercules, the epitome of strength, tasked with his 12 seemingly impossible labors, from slaying the Nemean lion to capturing Cerberus, the three-headed dog of the underworld. His story was one of immense struggle, atonement, and ultimate triumph. Then there's Perseus, the clever hero who beheaded the Gorgon Medusa, whose gaze could turn men to stone. He used her head as a weapon, a testament to wit triumphing over brute force. And we can't forget Odysseus, the hero of Homer's Odyssey, whose 10-year journey home from the Trojan War was a masterclass in endurance, cunning, and the longing for home. These heroes weren't just strong, they embodied key Greek ideals. They faced their destinies, battled their inner demons, and their stories were passed down through generations, not just as entertainment, but as educational tales about the human condition. They showed that even in a world governed by fickle gods, human courage, intelligence, and perseverance could make a difference. Now let's travel south to the sun-drenched lands of ancient Egypt. Here the mythology was intricately linked with the cycles of the Nile River and the promise of the afterlife. The Egyptian pantheon was just as rich and complex as the Greek one, but with a unique flavor. At the center of their creation story was Ra, the sun god, who sailed across the sky each day in his solar barge, bringing light and life to the world. Each night, he would journey through the underworld, the Duat, battling the serpent of chaos, Apep, to ensure the sun would rise again the next morning. This daily struggle between order, or Ma'at, and chaos was a core concept in Egyptian belief. The pharaoh himself was seen as the earthly embodiment of Horus, the son of Osiris, and his primary duty was to maintain Ma'at in the kingdom. This divine connection gave the pharaoh immense authority and solidified the entire structure of Egyptian society. The myths weren't just stories, they were the blueprint for their civilization. Perhaps the most enduring and important myth of ancient Egypt is the story of Osiris, Isis, and Horus. It's a powerful tale of love, betrayal, and rebirth. Osiris, the benevolent king, was murdered by his envious brother, Set, the god of chaos and the desert. Set dismembered Osiris's body and scattered the pieces across Egypt. But Osiris's devoted wife, Isis, a powerful magician, tirelessly searched for and reassembled her husband's body. Through her magic, she brought him back to life long enough to conceive a son, Horus. Osiris then became the ruler of the underworld, the judge of the dead, offering the promise of eternal life to the righteous. Horus grew up to avenge his father, eventually defeating Set and claiming his rightful place as king of Egypt. This myth was incredibly significant. It explained the succession of the pharaohs, with the living pharaoh as Horus and the deceased pharaoh as Osiris. More importantly, it provided every Egyptian with a model for resurrection and the hope of an afterlife. The elaborate mummification rituals and grand tombs, like the pyramids, were all practical steps taken to follow in the footsteps of Osiris and ensure their own journey to the eternal paradise of the Field of Reeds. Leaving the Mediterranean, let's journey north to the cold, rugged lands of the Norse. Norse mythology, primarily from the Scandinavian regions, paints a picture of a harsh world where gods and giants are locked in an eternal struggle, all leading to the prophesied end of the world, Ragnarök. The Norse pantheon, the Aesir and Vanir, resided in Asgard, a celestial fortress connected to the world of mortals, Midgard, by the shimmering Bifrost Bridge. The chief of the gods was Odin, the All-Father. But unlike the Greek Zeus, Odin wasn't just a king. He was a relentless seeker of wisdom, famously sacrificing one of his eyes for a drink from the well of knowledge. He was a god of war, but also of poetry and magic. Then there was Thor, his mighty son, the god of thunder, who wielded his hammer, Mjolnir, to protect both gods and humans from the destructive giants of Jotunheim. And we can't forget Loki, the trickster god. Neither fully a god nor a giant, Loki was a complex and ambiguous figure. His cleverness often helped the gods out of trouble, but his malice and deceit would ultimately set in motion the events of Ragnarök. The concept of fate, or weird, was central to the Norse worldview. Not even the gods could escape their destiny. The prophecy of Ragnarök loomed over everything. It foretold a great battle where the gods like Odin and Thor would fall fighting monstrous foes like the wolf Fenrir and the world serpent Jörmungandr. The world would be consumed by fire and flood, but crucially, this wasn't the absolute end. Out of the destruction, a new green world would emerge, and a new generation of gods and a pair of human survivors would repopulate it. This cyclical view of destruction and rebirth reflects the harsh realities of life in the North. Life was a struggle, and defeat was always a possibility. But what mattered was how you faced it. The ideal Norse hero was brave, loyal to their kin, and sought glory in battle, because a heroic death was the surest way to earn a place in Valhalla, Odin's hall of slain warriors. These myths fostered a culture of incredible resilience, courage, and a grim determination to face one's fate, however dark it might be. They celebrated the hero who fights on, even in the face of certain doom. The influence of these ancient myths is truly staggering. They are not just relics of a forgotten past, they are foundational pillars of Western culture. Think about our language. We have Herculean tasks, narcissistic personalities, and Achilles' heels. Days of the week in English come directly from Norse gods. Thursday is Thor's day, Wednesday is Woden's or Odin's day, and Friday is for Frigg, Odin's wife. Our literature, from Shakespeare to J.R.R., Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, which was heavily inspired by Norse mythology, is filled with archetypes and plot lines drawn from these ancient tales. The hero's journey, the trickster figure, the great flood, these are all motifs that originated in the myths of antiquity. Even modern superhero movies are, in many ways, our contemporary mythology. A hero with extraordinary powers, fighting for humanity against forces of chaos. Sound familiar? It's the story of Thor, Hercules, and Horus, retold for a new generation. These stories have endured for thousands of years for a reason. They tap into something fundamental about the human experience. They grapple with the big questions we still ask today. Where do we come from? Why are we here? What happens when we die? They explore timeless themes of love, jealousy, courage, betrayal, and the eternal struggle between order and chaos. By studying these myths, we get a profound insight into the mindset of ancient peoples. We see what they feared, what they valued, and how they made sense of the world around them. They are a window into the souls of our ancestors. And as we continue to retell and reinterpret these stories, we keep that window open, connecting our modern world to the very dawn of human imagination. They remind us that while our technology and societies may change, the core of what it means to be human, our hopes, our fears, and our need for stories remains the same. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through the myths and legends of the ancient world. It's truly amazing to see how these ancient stories continue to shape our world today. If you enjoyed this exploration, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to History of the Ancient World so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. We'd also love to hear from you in the comments below. What's your favorite myth or legend? Is there a particular ancient culture you'd like us to explore next? Let us know. Until next time, stay curious.